Adding states and transitions works in the same way as in the standalone version of xaitControl. So this means that we have a start state in an empty project, and simply by right-clicking within the workspace and choosing Add State, we can add a new state to the project and give it a name. In this case, we'll use the default name. Adding transitions is also the same. We just right-click on the state and choose Add Transition from the context menu and drag the transition to the state. So to access xaitControl's functions, variables, and events, just select the finite state machine set and choose the Properties option from the context menu. Now, as you can see here, the environment window appears and is populated. Let's minimize this to make it easier to read. Functions and variables can be used inside of preconditions and post commands. Functions are used to call game code, including Lua code, while variables represent the internal memory of a finite state machine instance. Variables can be easily manipulated from the game. For example, selecting the variable from the game is just one call. It's epgm xaitControl.setVariable. As an argument, it accepts the entity ID, the name of the variable, and the value that should be set. So you're able to change the value of all variables of one entity with the same name, or you can change the values of just one finite state machine set, or even of just one distinct finite state machine instance. Adding variables is just the same as in the standalone project. Just select the Add Variable button. In this case, we'll call it Variable. You can also select the type here in the drop-down menu. And that's it for adding variables. Adding events is done in the same way. As you can see in the function tree, there are two folders. The Property Access folder defines setters and getters for editing model properties. So let's minimize this a little bit and expand the window to make it easier to read. As you can see, there are setters and getters for all types. The setters include the entity ID, property name, and the value to be set. For getters, the value is not included in the parameters. It is directly returned, which you can see here in the return type. There are setters and getters for each type, so for Boolean type, integer, integer 64, float, string, and so on. The AutoLua folder contains all of the behaviors of the entity that uses the finite state machine. At the moment, there is only the behavior 0 without any parameters, since the behavior is still empty. So let's create a new behavior for the entity to show the power of the AutoLua parser. Let's go back to the entity and let's create a new behavior. We'll give it the default name and I'll start editing it. Let's paste some code in the behavior. As you can see, I've added two variables, variable 1 and variable 2 of the type unsigned integer 64 and type string, respectively. The existence of variable 3 depends on the value of variable 2. This can be understood as a function overloading, which is represented the same way within xaitControl. So let's save the Lua script. As you can see now, the AutoLua folder is now updated and there are two new functions for behavior 01. The first one has two parameters of type integer 64 and string, while the second has three variables of type integer 64, string, and float. The AutoLua enables you to seamlessly add behaviors to your AutoLua scripts and to use them instantaneously within xaitControl. Finally, let's have a look at the events. Events are sent from the game to xaitControl to trigger possible state changes. Sending events works the same way as manipulating variables. For example, to send an event to all FSMs of one entity from Lua, just use the command epgm xaitControl.handleEvent with the entity ID and the event name. So let's review. In this tutorial, you have learned how to add xaitControl to your game solution and how to assign finite state machines to an entity. You have seen the power of the AutoLua parser as well as the ease of using xaitControl's finite state machines from your game, especially when using Lua. For more information, we recommend having a look at the Hive control demo, where you can see how easy it is to integrate xaitControl into your source code with one line of code. For even more information about xaitControl, please refer to our wiki at wiki.xaitment.com. Thanks for watching.